Okay, we are now recording. So Amanda, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself, and please feel free to let me know when to click through your slides for you.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much. I appreciate this invitation to speak today about the Military Child Education Coalition. I'm Amanda Holsey, and I have been with the Military Child Education Coalition, also referred to as MCEC. So you'll hear us say MCEC or MCEC as the acronym. I've been with them since 2007. So it's been one of those things where I've worked with them off and on through my career as a teacher. I've always been connected to them because I am the spouse of a military service member. So I've been a military spouse for 14 years. So I completely understand, all of those highs and lows of the military lifestyle. So this job is something that's very personal to me because I know that through the work we do, we can support military children and their families. So our motto is for the sake of the child, and our sole focus is supporting military children through this journey, and even after their parents separate from the military for whatever reason. I hope that you'll learn more about our organization and find a way to help us in this cause of supporting the children of those who serve or have served us all. I'm really excited to be here. So I hope that my time with you today is informative and useful in, as you continue your job as caregivers and spouses and parents. On our next slide, you'll see that our purpose is, like I said, we solely exist to help military children thrive in the face of transition and separation. We are a 501c3 global nonprofit. And we are the only nonprofit that sits on the Secretary of Defense Roundtable that our sole focus is on children. Lots of other really great organizations do lots of really great things for kids, but our sole focus is the academic transition, the separation, and how all of that really affects the academic success of our military kids. So children are our mission. We spend a lot of time in research and policy development in order to level that playing field for the military and veteran connected children. So we really have three pillars that we lean on in order to guide our work. The first one you'll see at the bottom is educate. They're all three: educate, advocate, and collaborate. So obviously, one of the biggest things that we want to do is educate the public in the military and civilian sectors, and that's the first step in increasing the awareness to provide support for our military and veteran connected kids throughout their educational experience. This educate pillar is done through our marketing, professional development, and parent programs, and all three of those things I will talk to you a little bit later. The advocate pillar is key to our policy work and the work we do on a daily basis when questions and issues are sent our way regarding specific transition issues. Recently, Dr. Mary Keller, our CEO, had a request to assist a family who moved from Central Texas to Washington, D.C., and the school district that she moved into in Washington didn't want to accept a swimming credit as PE. This child was on the swim team. She had been very successful. But then when she transferred into the DC area, that equivalent swim team was not considered as a physical education credit. So this was preventing this student from graduating on time over one PE credit. So our CEO wrote a letter on the student's behalf and really explained and helped to educate those administrators on how this was impacting this military child. So these are the real life scenarios that military families face each day. We're happy to be equipped with the capacity to advocate for all military and veteran connected kids so that they can receive that level playing field. The last pillar is collaborate, and we are a coalition. So we feel that collaboration with other organizations, such as the Dole Foundation, collaboration with school districts, lawmakers, and other key players round out that collaboration pillar. We currently collaborate with Wounded Warrior Project to provide programs for parents, students, and professionals, and we're happy to collaborate in order to help them put the resources in the right places. We collaborate with school districts to obtain grant funding in order to bring additional training and student services into their school districts. We have a science board that keeps us grounded in research so that when we provide these services to communities, we know that they are research informed and relevant to the audience being served. We never want anything to be just because we think it's a good idea. We want that research. And so all of our professional development and any curriculum that is presented by MSEC is research informed and supported by our science board. The members of that science board are leaders in the field of psychology and mental health and education. So we're very fortunate to have those leaders who help us collaborate and help us create that curriculum. So those three pillars are key to our development of new and relevant programming. On the next slide, you'll see our mission. And our mission is to ensure inclusive, quality educational opportunities for all military and veteran-connected children affected by mobility, family separation, and transition. So we never want to victimize or make things easy for our military kids, but what we want and what we firmly believe in is that they should receive inclusive and quality opportunities as they progress through their K through 12 and their higher ed endeavors. Our mission is to pave the path for success so that all military children receive the same opportunities as kids who have never moved. That's a big thing, is sometimes we want, people who aren't familiar with our lifestyle, they want to say, oh, those poor military kids. We don't want that at all. And I know that military children and families don't want that either. But we firmly believe that they should have the same opportunities and not penalized or punished because they did not choose this lifestyle of moving around the country and supporting their service member. So the next slide talks about our coalition. We firmly believe that it takes a village. So you can see listed on that slide all of the different people who make up our coalition. You are one of those members, believe it or not. On this slide, you can see the different types of people, but we offer a free membership, and I will share that information with everyone later. It's free because we believe that the ecosystem which supports military children can only get stronger through learning and participating in our coalition. So we're kind of the catalyst. Dr. Keller likes to call it the wedding planner. We put things out there for you to use, and then we expect you to take that and share it with, your child's school or your neighbors, or really just be that support for someone who's going through something similar. So through that, we are all part of this very important coalition. So I hope that you'll take the time to sign up for our free e-newsletter, and we send those out. You get information on trainings in your area. If you're interested in professional development, we give you highlights of what the student-to-student programs are doing, which I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. So it's really just, what's going on in the lives of military children across the globe, and those go out monthly. We communicate with our community partners when there are special events, and you're the first to learn about those things happening in your area, like I said earlier. So the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is how we serve through our policy initiatives. And I know in our initial conversations, Laurel told us that a lot of you are really interested in how you can be involved and how you can help. This is one way that we need, the members of that coalition, or of our coalition, to be aware of what's going on in the world, that will impact military kids. So this is, I feel like this is one very important part of the work we do. This helps lawmakers understand the critical needs of support for military children and families. We support strong academic standards in K through 12 for military kids. That first bullet, college and career readiness. I know in lots of places in the country, Common Core is a bad word. So we choose to believe that college and career readiness, regardless of the standards, we feel like military kids deserve high standards and that they're critically important as our military kids move and transition throughout their K through 12 career, that they have some consistency. We want them to be able to complete to compete globally. And we believe that college and career readiness is very important to long-term academic success. College and career readiness also guarantees that a student will be able to move into a new state and pick up where he or she left off in order to maximize their potential. The military student identifier is the next bullet on that slide, and it has passed for active duty children. Where military children live, we can funnel support and the right types of support into those appropriate areas. A lot of people feel like this is, Big Brother wanting to know where our kids are, and that's not it at all. It's really just for us to provide support, and Dr. Keller has been key and essential in getting this military student identifier passed in, in most places. What we know is our military youth reside in every zip code across the country, but if we don't know they're there, then we can't appropriately assist them. Interstate on educational opportunity military.
Hey Amanda, you're cutting out a little bit in your microphone. Just so you know, you might want to speak a little bit closer to your phone. Just saying.
Okay. I'm sorry. I hope this is better. The Interstate Compact focuses on resolving those transition issues for highly mobile military families. Was that better? Can you still hear me?
Sorry, yes, I was on mute.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. One exciting initiative that you may have heard about lately is Operation Educate the Educator. There are guiding principles that set standards for teacher education programs so that new teachers coming through college are aware and understand the unique academic implications faced by our military students. As a teacher, I feel very strongly about this. I have worked in school districts who were right outside the gates of a military installation, and some of the teachers honestly were clueless. They did not understand why, the kids felt like they needed to be home because mom or dad was about to deploy, or they missed school for a reunion. They just didn't understand. So Operation Educate the Educator, I think, is one of the best things that has been created, so that those universities who sign on for that, they look to us for guidance and how to properly train these educators in the military lifestyle and what to expect when that military child may walk into their classroom. We're strong advocates for early childhood education. We work with child development centers to help them earn their certification credits through our professional development programming. One additional thing that I want to talk to you about while we're talking policy is we're working with states to develop a statewide comprehensive support plan. In the past, we've had lots of great funding from the services, the Army, Navy, Air Force. But as you know, the situation that we have now with the budget crisis doesn't allow for them to spend the money on supporting children like they have in the past. So we are looking to each individual state to include the funding in their annual budget to provide training, student programs, parent programs, in those critical needs areas through their state. I'm happy to say that my home state of Alabama just passed their first statewide comprehensive plan with MSEC. We're working on Texas. We're working on lots and lots of other states. But right now, Alabama has been the first one to pass and signed by the governor. So we're really excited about the possibilities of bringing more support into the states, just to further strengthen that ecosystem of youth serving professionals. It may be the educators or those working directly with students. So we're happy and pleased that those things are progressing very nicely. Okay, on the next slide, I'll tell you about how we're serving our military-connected children and youth through student programs. A lot of you have probably heard of S2S, JS2S, and our newest program with the students is ES2S. The S2S program is in high schools. The junior student to student is in middle and junior high schools, and recently it was requested that we develop the same type of leadership program for elementary schools. So they provide student-centered programs in schools, and they just help those students transitioning in and out. The biggest pillar is that they promote 100% acceptance. It doesn't matter where you come from, what rank your parent is, if your parent may not even be in the military, but it promotes social and emotional well-being and just creates that condition for academic success. Our research tells us that if a student
Hey, Amanda.
and within the first...
Sorry to interrupt again. You are
okay.
Still cutting out just a little bit, just letting you know.
Okay. That's weird. I'm looking at my service, and it seems like I have a full bar, but okay.
It goes in and out. You're fine right now, so.
Okay, I'll try to keep my phone still. Maybe that's it. I do apologize. What we've learned is that if the student fit in within the first 2 weeks of moving to they have the possibility of falling through the cracks. So this program really helps get that student comfortable and grounded so that they can while making friends. And the great thing about this, the student programs, is they've trained almost 1,000 schools across the country. Another initiative is the Tell Me a Story program, and this brings parents and children together through literature, children's literature, to discuss difficult topics. And there's over 40,000 parent and child participants in this specific program. So you may have actually attended one of these in your area. The next slide is continuing on students. And this is the Frances Hesselbein Student Leadership Program. So from the S2S program, they select exemplary sophomores and juniors to go to the leadership development program at the United States Military Academy at Point or the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado. So they focus on character, core values, citizenship, personal growth, and potential. And to hear the stories that these students share with us when they come back really helps us know that we're on the right track. These are leaders, and they're learning how to help people adjust when they move in, but leadership skills that they will carry with them into life, whether they go to college or start their career. Is about parents served through military connected parents. Okay, the parent-to-parent teams are parents help to provide information and informative and proactive workshops in their community. So they're embedded in that community, and it's on topics related to the military lifestyle and raising children. This April, we hit a benchmark that have been impacted through our workshops and webinars. So we do these.
Hey, Amanda.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry. It's sometimes your mic just cuts out fully, and sometimes it's just a little patchy. I'm not quite sure. Sorry, everybody. I'm not quite sure what the audio issue is. It might be an issue on Zoom's side, but and we'll have these slides for you as well at the end of it if for some reason you can't hear anything. But
okay, I have tried to relocate, so hopefully that will be better.
No worries.
Okay. So our parent-to-parent teams have trained over 200,000. I know the slide says 180, but we hit that 200,000 mark in April. So it's very excited to do that during the month of the military child. So what we know is that parents will seek the advice of other parents before they go to a professional. So when we see these repeat attendees, we know that parent-to-parent is an effective support network for military parents who want to mentor their children through the academic, social, and emotional impacts of this military lifestyle. We also have a Supporting Caregiver Parents initiative, and these are delivered through webinar, and I can also share the information with you all at a later time on how to access those. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are on our website and offered free of charge for you just to join in and view the recorded version. Okay. Our next slide is about professional development and training, and I understand that there's lots of interest in the group about professional development. We train educators, youth serving professionals, as well as community leaders and parents in learning the most current methods for responding to the needs of children and youth. So we have about 9 different trainings. All are accredited through the IACET, which is the International Association of Continuing Education and Training, and the National Board of Certified Counselors, as well as the American Psychological Association. So when you attend one of our face-to-face trainings or our 2 online trainings, you are eligible, if you have met the completion requirements, you're eligible to earn CEUs. There's one training on here, the journey from welcome home to now, reunion, reconnecting routine, and then also helping military children discover their spark, strengths, potential, aspiration, resourcefulness, and confidence. Those are both offered online, and I'm so excited to be able to share with the fellows a usage code where you can go on and take both of these classes. The Journey class is 8 hours in credit, and the Spark class is 6 hours in credit. And those are delivered through an asynchronous platform where you can get on there and do 5 minutes at a time, or you could do an entire module at a time. So we're excited to share that with you, and those will come from Laurel at a later date. We focus on responding to the military child with exceptional needs in a 2-day face-to-face training, supporting children through school transitions, foundations, and social emotional, and then also living in the new normal, helping children thrive through good and challenging times. This training came about right after our country went to war, and so many people were coming back, and the educators just really did not know how to communicate with the students. So that training has been around for a while, but recently we received funding from the Bob Woodruff Foundation to create a 1-day training focusing on supporting veterans' children through transitions. And that is what we ended up titling the course. But through this training, we help educators and youth serving professionals understand why there's so many people getting out of the military, some of those ways that people separate, and then how each form of separation has a different impact or effect on the children. So we help them develop strategies on supporting these children and their families. We do a lot of really fun activities, a lot of activities that they could take back and use with small groups if they're guidance counselors or teachers. And then we also welcome parents for this training because they also bring a great amount of perspective into what this is like when you separate or you have a spouse separate from the military. And there's also portions in there on wounded, ill, or injured service members and how that implicates the child when they have to either move or if there's a temporary situation. So we hope that as we roll out this course that you all will be able to attend one of those in your areas, but we will definitely keep you notified when we start to schedule those, so because we know that you could give us some great insight to that training. The last slide on professional development, the next slide, is about our professional development certification program. This all started with the Boys and Girls Club of America contacting us to say, you know, we serve a lot of military kids, but we have no training whatsoever in what they're going through. So we developed this 2-phase program for them. So if you have a child in Boys and Girls Club or Armed Services YMCA, they are all being trained by us. We're also working with Boy Scouts of America, Girl Scouts of America, and then also the American Red Cross to go through similar trainings like this because they really do want to understand what this is like. Do you want to stop here and just see if there's any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have quite a few from Facebook. I don't see any on the chat, but everyone feel free to post your questions if you have any at this time. Let me read off a couple that we have from Facebook, I think. Pulling up the site right now. Okay. They want to know if we'll send out these slides after we're done showing that. Is that something you're comfortable with, Amanda?
Oh, that's perfect. And I even have notes at the bottom. So I'm sorry that the audio is not that great, but they should be able to follow along with that after you send it out. And if there's any questions after they're sent out, feel free to give them my email address too.
Perfect. And then you may have answered this as well, but I'll ask it just so that it's been asked and there's a reference point for it. Your programs, are they only for active duty and transitioning families, or do they include veterans, or do you have a specific veterans course?
It's for any military and veteran connected child. So we serve the National Guard and Reserves, active duty, veterans, those who have gotten out of the military. So yes, we serve all branches. We're our main color is purple, and that is a sign of when you mix all the different colors together from all the services, you get a purple color. So we call ourselves purple because we support all branches, all ranks. It doesn't matter to us because our main mission, like I said, is to support children, and through that we support their families. So yes, we do have one course about transitioning veterans, and it's really, though, how to support these children. So we always take it back to the children because we want the educators, the youth serving professionals, and even the parents to understand that they are kids first. So all the strategies that we give will work with any child, but we present them through a lens of the military child.
Fabulous. And then how do we get local schools involved or educated? I know that you said you're going to send me some information that we can hand out to the fellows, but what should they be giving to their kids' schools?
That's a really great question, and I think that's where the coalition comes in, and being an active part of that coalition. We have, and it kind of leads actually into the next slide on resources and support, but we have lots of resources that we can provide to you. Many of them you can find on our website at militarychild.org. We have a huge Facebook presence and a Twitter presence. We also have a site called School Quest, and this is to help parents when you're moving, or if you just have questions about the school district, you can get on School Quest, and really it's kind of like the realtor site when you're looking for a house. It tells you kind of the good, bad, and ugly of that place, of that new place, or about the school district ratings, and how can you, what's required for state testing and things like that. Another great way to get involved is through our homeroom site. This is a place where we encourage interactive engagement, and this is collaboration. It's a community, and it's a safe community to get on. It's online, and there's different segments where you can go in and ask questions. You can answer questions. You can, be that subject matter expert if someone is asking questions. So we have parents on there, educators, those who have attended our professional development. So it's really, that's kind of our coalition gathering point is homeroom. And then we also have the online store. And I like to think of this not as a store, but just kind of our catalog of resources. If you go on there and see things that you want to share with the school district, there's lots and lots of, thousands of resources on that store. Most things we can provide to you digitally. But I think just the biggest way that you can get your child's school involved is to make sure that they know that you have a military child. A lot of times we take it for granted and we don't bring that up, at a parent-teacher conference or at enrollment. So if they don't ask you, when you enroll, or if you've been there a while, if nobody's ever really made it a point to ask you, make sure they know. And then at that point, you can start to advocate for your child and really give them those resources. But we hope that you will lean on us for those resources. And any questions, if you have a certain situation come up, there are lots of people on our staff who are happy to answer and provide guidance.
That's great. And I think you just answered another question, which was, in changing schools, how do you find schools that are, are good and good for military children? And I think the School Quest resource is something that can help with that. So I think that was an answer to Liz's question.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I did have one other, beyond resources, are there people who would come to educate teachers in person, or is that something that you recommend sharing, some of your courses with your educators? For smaller schools especially, and this goes to Melody's question, I think it can be difficult for teachers to understand the difficulties that military children and military families have. So what would you recommend for parents going into a school where there are very few military families in attendance, and how they should go about educating their educators?
Okay, that's a great question too, and I've actually been in that position where, I'm pretty sure my child was the only military child in that school, and it did take a lot of work to get them to understand that his lifestyle really was different. You may not see it every day, but there are, it's just like I said, there are ups and downs to this lifestyle. I think the first thing, like I mentioned before, is make sure they know. But secondly, we do receive requests for kind of our speakers bureau, if you will, to go and speak to, say it's a faculty meeting, or it's the time leading up to the new school year where all of the teachers are gathered. And we're lucky to have trainers and employees who are spread throughout the country. So please don't ever hesitate if you have a request. We do everything we can within, budget always stands in the way, but we do everything we can to reach out to communities who may be in need of a little more understanding of why they should support this child or this family. So always reach out to us, and if we're able to send someone to speak, we're happy to do that. Secondly, sharing the opportunity for those professional development trainings, and now that we have the online options, those are great ways to train smaller schools or smaller districts, because they can, the school district can purchase 5 or 10 seats to the training, and train a few people on campus, and then have them share what they've learned. So those are a couple of ways that you can help your school understand, because the truth is, you may be the only military person or just a few of you, but they never know when someone moves into the area. So it's better, in my opinion, to be prepared. So always just reach out to us, and we are happy to kind of customize. If there's if they have a need for a larger scale training, we can do that, but then we can also share those resources with you, and we're happy to send people to speak, when it's possible.
Great. Well, there are a couple other questions, but I think, why don't we save those for the end so that you can continue with your presentation, and okay. I'm sure that some of them will be answered as we continue. So,
right. And I just have a couple more slides. So we've answered a lot of those through that resources and support slide. But I do invite you to check out our website and just spend some time at militarychild.org. We house all of our videos that we've done through grant funding and other things on that website. We have free downloads on a lot of the resources that you'll find help. So there's just lots and lots of information on that website. And then along with these other two, School Quest and Homeroom, we can definitely, get everybody enrolled in Homeroom, even if if you wanted to start your own segment for the Dole Fellows in Homeroom so that they could help us answer questions. I think that would be a great opportunity as well. So we'll move to the next slide, and this is talking about our National Training Seminar. So every summer we gather at the nation's capital for our National Training Seminar. Each year has a different theme that highlights the positive aspects of military children. So this year we're celebrating the trailblazing spirit of military children and youth, and we're doing that trying to highlight their grit, their determination, and their perseverance. Our military kids are shining examples of these three traits, so we hope to really highlight that throughout the training. But during this 2-day seminar, we bring together distinguished lecturers, famous authors, and then also the service chiefs come to discuss how to best continue the support for military kids. The service chiefs are always interested to hear from the participants. So this year, they will actually spend some one-on-one time through our collaborative sessions with the participants, hearing, what they would like to see and by the way of supporting their kids in a more positive way throughout all of the branches of service. So we're excited, again, to kind of be the wedding planners, bring everybody together, and the amount of collaboration that goes on through this 2.5 days is unbelievable. This year, we're offering professional development as a part of the seminar. So if you are able to attend, it's June 27th through 29th. It'll actually start on that Monday night. It's at the Marriott Wardman Park in Washington, D.C., and we can probably, registration is open, but if you're interested, contact me and we can probably help you with some registration fees and probably free professional development. So if that is something that you're interested in, we would absolutely love to have you there. So that is actually my last slide. So if there are other questions, I'm happy to answer those now.
Great, thank you. We do have a couple other ones from Facebook, which I'll go ahead and read off. And it does go back to school-related focus and then into another issue as well. So this is from Liz. We attend several Wounded Warrior events that are not excused when it involves certain care for my family and missing school. Is there anything you can do or that they can do to communicate to their school that there's just there are going to be some times that their kids are going to miss?
And that is one of those policy things that I talked about earlier, that it's so important for the awareness of, we're a family unit, and these children need to be, they need to feel like they're supporting their family or their parents. So I would think that even if they knew in advance, there are going to be times, I believe, that, it's unexcused. I would hope that the school districts, through our help, and it may be something that we were able to advocate for you and say, we write a letter on your behalf or some type of policy letter asking them to review their policy, because we know how important it is for the family unit to be able to experience these events together. So if you want to contact me and we can talk about it kind of offline and see what we can do. But, those are not, unfortunately, those are not unusual circumstances that we hear about a lot. So when we're able, we're happy to write those letters and contact the district just to get them to reconsider those policies. We have a lot of work to do, in getting why it's so important.
Absolutely. The next question goes into the psychological or mental health issues that military kids sometimes face. We have a caregiver who is struggling to find a military background-related therapist for her children. Can you recommend anyone, or are there resources she can look at to find a good therapist for her kids?
I think this is where we would probably reach out to certain members of our science advisory board. I know, and we understand the importance of those situations, and it's very frustrating when you have to even go from therapist to therapist and repeat that story over and over again, and then someone still not really understand or be able to relate. I would ask that they contact me and let me, we do have some members of our science advisory board who work in those fields, and they have connections in those fields, and I think we'd be happy to help them do that research and find someone. So definitely, it's something that I can't answer right now, but I would certainly be happy to help them research and find the right person in their area.
Great. And does MSEC have any, this is Melody's question, does MSEC have any resources or programs that do online education on secondary PTSD and some of the issues that kids face? And maybe we can go back to your listing of all of your resources, but if you have any, besides finding a therapist, any education on secondary PTSD that kids might have?
And this is a question that we're asked a lot. And we really want to be able to support all children in everything that they face, but that's incredibly hard to do in, say, a 6-hour training or, an online platform. So our trainings we don't go that specific. We try to give those in attendance the resources to look for that type of help. But unfortunately, most of the time we are speaking to like guidance counselors or teachers or youth serving professionals. So we really, right now, we're trying to just, cover the basics. Through the parent education that we have, there may be more specific training that they developed for parents, and I'm happy to get in touch with our parent program manager and send you the list of all of the parent trainings that are available, and that may be addressed in some of those webinars.
Great. Yeah, I think it's important, and Melody brought up a good point that it's tough to see your kid get in trouble, especially when sometimes his or her behavior is due to stressful circumstances at home, which
Right.
A lot of military kids have. So I think any sort of resources in that vein would be very appreciated and helpful.
Right. And in the supporting veterans children through transitions, we do talk about stress, and it's, how do you identify if this is a behavior problem or if this is related to, let's say, a parent's injury or just the situation that's going on in the household at the moment. So there are, we try to embed that in really creating and fostering an understanding of, hey, let's find out the reason, or let's not jump to conclusions because we don't know what that child has been through before they arrive, before the bus drops them off at school. So all of our trainings, we lean in that direction, but it may not be specific enough. So and that's a really good point for us to help us inform our curriculum. So I appreciate any of those types of things that you want to send my way so that we can make sure we are providing that adequate support. So I really appreciate that question.
Of course. Does anybody else have any further comments or questions for Amanda? It looks like we don't. Let me check Facebook one more time, make sure I managed to get everybody's questions. I think that's it. I certainly have some people who want to connect with you already, Amanda, so you're ready for a barrage of emails. But
yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for taking the time to tell us about your programs and advocacy that MSEC is doing and about this upcoming training seminar. I think that's going to be a fabulous event, and we're so happy to be able to promote this and work with you on this. I do have one further question.
Okay.
and it's going back to schools. What do you suggest when you try to educate the school but they don't listen to you?
Patience. No, really. And I understand. I've been in those situations. I think it takes time, and it may actually take, resources from us, and explain to them that, or maybe even explaining some of the, the military compact or things that are already in place. So I'd love to hear specifically, offline what that is, and let me just see, what kind of resources we can send. So because we want to educate teachers and school districts, because we know that there are so many who still don't understand what our kids go through. So if they want to send me an email and just kind of a little bit of an explanation, then we may have some more specific resources or tips that we could help them with.
Great. Sounds great. Thank you again, Amanda. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're a little bit early, so I'm going to sign off here and stop the recording. But thank you again so much for